Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Charlie's Journey YouTube channel. If you are already a subscriber, thank you for returning and for your support as always. If this is the first video of mine that you've come across, I hope that you will stay and consider subscribing if the content is something that you enjoy or you find it useful. And again, if you are new and you don't know me, I am Charlie. I am documenting or sharing my journey with you from being in a high control religion for almost 30 years. Not just for people that have been in similar situations to me, but just anybody who's been through anything hard. Hopefully my videos will be of use to you. Let's get straight into it. If I'm looking down, it's because I've got notes. I need to stay on track. So first things first, what is repression? Thought I'd just put the definition there just so that we're aware of what we're talking about. This is definitely something that I feel that my personal opinion as someone who was brought up as a JW from the age of 3, I feel that this is something that a lot of born in, as they call them, born in or witnesses that, ex-witnesses that have known about the religion their whole life, I feel like a lot of them suffer with this repression. And the reason for that is because from a very early age, your thinking and your behaviors are molded. For instance, there's an actual book that the witnesses have, and a few other publications and articles, because they are a magazine printing business originally, so they do produce a lot of articles and things like that, targeted at young people, pre-teens going into, you know, teen years and adolescence. And there's a whole book that's, I think now 2 volumes, based upon helping young people navigate that whole period of their life and everything it entails. So that book, for me growing up, it wasn't 2 volumes when I was little. When I was young, it was just 1, but it had everything in there to help you stay a good Christian or stay on track, stay pure, stay doing the right thing. And as mentioned in my video, was life as a JW all bad, something like that, I do mention that I am grateful for a lot of the principles that I was brought up with that have saved me from experiencing things at too much of a young age. I will always say that. I will never take that away from that organization, that they did instill some very good principles in me that I am proud to say have made me the woman I am today. However, I do feel that the book went in a little bit too much depth with things that you should and shouldn't do. That's all I will say. There was just too much that they had a say on that I, looking back as an adult, just think, oh, too much. Those articles, those books are designed to help, along with giving you practical support on other different areas of your life. Those articles and publications are really designed to help, as the scripture says, which I don't know which scripture it is, I might quote it if I can be bothered. There's a scripture that says about deadening your body members as regards to the things on the earth or something like that. It's centered around mainly helping you to avoid your sinful nature and desires. So yeah, when you are brought up to believe that things that you cannot control, such as your thoughts, you can't control the thoughts coming into your head. Of course you can try and navigate, but if there's a thought that pops into your head, you can't control that, but you're supposed to try your best to get rid of those thoughts when they do come in. You might not be able to control them coming in, but you can control what you do with those thoughts when they come in. But again, when you're a young person and you're going through all these different changes, it's very difficult to, as we know as adults, to think straight and to do the right thing. And as I said, my point is, when you are going through things growing up, you are naturally going to go through things that you have never experienced before. You're going to have feelings that you've never experienced before. You're going to You know, there's so much happening to you, and you're told that all those things, a lot of those things are wrong, and you're not to engage in anything or try to find out what certain things are or aren't. Yeah, I think you get the point. If you're a reasoning adult, I don't want to get banned or I don't want my video to be flagged for anything. So I'm trying to be choosing my words very carefully. But I think we know what I'm talking about. When you're told these things are wrong, you shouldn't be engaging in anything. You do learn to repress, suppress, and hold in a lot of things. But obviously people are human beings, so if you do happen to sin, they have means on getting you back on track. And when I was making my notes for this video, I was thinking to myself, I was listing all the different things that can happen to help get you on track, the things that they do to help get you back on track. And I thought to myself, essentially it's just discipline. Essentially all of this is just discipline. Humiliation, shaming, having a talk given to the public, even if it's a mini talk, maybe 5-10 minutes long, given to the public, as in the rest of the congregation, about a situation that you and the congregation elders know about. They may not mention you by name, but they will give what's called a marking talk about you if you have sinned and they don't feel that you're very good association for the rest of the congregation. They'll give an actual marking talk. Again, they won't mention your name, but they will talk about maybe what it is you've done and let the rest of the congregation know that these things are not correct. Yeah. Obviously we've talked about being disfellowshipped, which is like when you're willfully not sorry for what you've done. That's obviously a form of discipline and punishment. Before that, you get the whole what's it called, reproval process, where you may be privately disciplined, or you may be publicly disciplined. Again, a way to humiliate and shame you into not doing it again. And even before all of that, you're sat before at least 3 elders. Again, a lot of the time they're older than you, and you have to spill your guts on what you may have done. So a lot of shaming, humiliation in place for a reason, I believe. Again, this is just my opinion. I believe it's definitely in place to keep you fearful, to keep you in line, to keep you in check, because nobody wants to be shamed or humiliated. It is not nice. We've all been there, and it's horrible, especially publicly. Like, oh, awful. So without going too much into the types of things, as I said, I don't want this video to be flagged for inappropriate speech. But what type of things would they be warning you against and trying to get you to stay away from? Obvious things like engaging in intimacy with another person, either the same sex as you or opposite. Engaging in what we'll call discovery behavior. I think you know what I mean. Smoking, taking illicit substances, drinking, all of the vices you can think of that you would probably want to do when you are younger, or to experiment with, or to see what it's like. Anything like that. There's more, but I'm just trying to think of the main obvious ones. So what's the result of all of this? Being told you can't do this, this is wrong, if this feeling comes up, do this, don't do that, blah, 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 blah. What is the result of all this repression? The result is, apologies for the noise in the background, I have my children here. When you do come out of it and you do have relationships, friendships, particularly intimate relationships with anybody who hasn't been brought up a witness. I was going to say normal people, but I shouldn't say that. That's not very nice, but you know what I mean. Anybody who hasn't been brought up a Jehovah's Witness, you then realize how much repression you have experienced when in comparison to your peers, maybe the same age as you, or just people in general. There's a lot of guilt. I know I keep talking about guilt, shame, but it's a lot of it's based upon shaming you, making you feel guilty, making you feel wrong, like that certain things are wrong. And when you've had that drilled into you from a young age, it can be difficult for some people. As I said, it affects people differently. Apologies for the screaming, honestly, they're fine. My children are playing with one another, believe it or not. Some adults really struggle with getting over the guilt and the shame that has been instilled in them from a young age. The guilt and the shame can be so great that some people struggle to have functioning adult relationships, or they only find out once they get married. This isn't also unique to people that have left. This can happen within the JW organization as well, that people don't find out their situation and how they've been affected by these things until they maybe get married, until they maybe have children. It can impact how you see yourself. It could make you avoid having relationships. Because of the level of repression that some witnesses, experience when they do grow into adults, they kind of go mad and end up doing the craziest, most wildest things you can think of because of it, because of that repression. Sometimes it can work the opposite way, and you end up never getting married, never wanting to get married, or never wanting to have a relationship, a close, intimate relationship with anybody because of it. It can affect people in many different ways. It can have long-lasting residual effects, and it's really sad. At the more sinister end of things, you could be left open to the abuses of others and concealing that abuse if the repression is severe enough. Won't go into that, but that is the more dark, sinister end of things. You can be left open to that, and that's just horrendous. Although it's not something I've had to work hard on, it's definitely something I have had to work on in certain areas. Anyway, my children are doing the most and I need to get back to them, but I really wanted to film this video, so hopefully you guys can forgive me and the screaming. Time to go. If you enjoyed the video and if you gained any value from that waffle that I just did, that waffle I just gave, if anything of value stands out to you, please like the video, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I upload every Wednesday and Sunday. Also, if you have any suggestions for videos you would like me to make, or subjects you'd like me to talk about, or anything like that, feel free to also drop that in the comments. I read them all. I try to get back to everybody's comments. I try to email everybody back because I'm getting more emails now that my channel's growing a tiny bit. So I do get a lot of emails now, which is lovely. As I said, I love hearing from you all, and you're all some amazing people, so I really appreciate it. Anyway, that's enough from me. Until my next video, I hope everybody stays well, and I will see you on my next one.